This is the beginning of tape number 1 in the deposition of 30B6 of Vietnamese American Unified Buddhist Congress Corporate Representative Lane No. We are hearing the matter of Dao Trang versus Vietnamese Unified Buddhist Association of Utah. Case number 1109-11069. The case is pending in the 3rd Judicial District Court in and for Salt Lake County, State of Utah. Today's date is December 4, 2012, and the time is 9:17. My name is Rosalind Sabatic. I'm the videographer, and the court reporter is Michelle Miller. We are with Court Reporters Clearinghouse. Would counsel introduce yourself for the record, and would the court reporter swear in the witness?
I'm going to start. I'm Grace Acosta. I'm counsel for the Vietnamese Unified Buddhist Association of Utah, as well as Ho Vo in his individual capacity, Chuck Fon in his individual capacity.
And Stuart Harmon on behalf of Tuan Tran.
And Dallas Nordstrom on behalf of Dao Trang Phap Hoa and the Congress.
Will you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, would you please state your full name for the record, sir?
Yes, my first name is Lan, spelled L-A-N. The last name is Ngo, it is spelled N-G-O.
And what's your address?
9950 West Park Drive, Suite 518, Houston, Texas 77063.
And what's your profession, sir?
I'm a licensed attorney in Texas.
Do you have any other licenses other than that of being an attorney?
I have a license with the U.S. Patent Bar.
And what year did you graduate from law school?
I beg your pardon?
What year did you graduate from law school?
I graduated in 2001.
And when did you pass the Texas bar?
2002.
And how about when did you pass the patent bar?
I believe I passed the patent bar before I passed the Texas bar.
Okay. And what is your relationship with the Unified, hold on, let me get the name right, hold on a second. The Vietnamese American Unified Buddhist Congress in the United States of America?
Yes, can we say short Congress?
Sure, absolutely. From now on, let's call it Congress, but can you tell me what your relationship is to that organization?
Yes, I'm the general counsel for the Congress.
And when did you become the general counsel for the Congress?
I was selected in 2010 and formally assigned in 2011.
Prior to being the general counsel for the Congress, did you have any other leadership role within the Congress?
None.
So did you have any affiliation with the Congress prior to your appointment as general counsel for them?
Please define affiliation.
Well, did you attend a Congress-affiliated church? Or Congress-affiliated Buddhist temple?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the name of that temple?
The name of the temple is Lien, L-I-E-N, Hoa, H-O-A, temple here in Houston, Texas.
And what leadership role did you have within the Lien, how do you pronounce SOA? No, how do you
Lien
pronounce
Hoa.
it? Lien Hoa temple?
Can we say lotus? Because that is the direct translation, and also it is a DBA name.
So the Locust Temple?
Lotus.
Lotus, sorry.
Lotus Temple, yeah.
Okay.
Objection assumes facts, not evidence.
Okay, so did you have any leadership role with the Lotus Temple here in Houston?
No.
Okay, so how did you come to be appointed as the general counsel for the Congress?
It's just by chance that I was recognized. I was introduced to the Venerable Thich, T-H-I-C-H, H-O, Zach, G-I-A-C, at the event, and I got selected.
Okay, can you spell his name again? Venerable Thich, what's his first name, Ho?
Thich Ho Zach.
Okay, so H-O, new word, G-I-A-C?
HO and then GIAC.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for not speaking Vietnamese better than I do. All right, and so what year did you begin your association with Venerable Thich Ho Zak? Yeah, sorry.
It's around 2001.
And so are you one of his students?
No, I'm just an attendee at his temple, and we regularly met at a certain event.
So prior to you becoming General Counsel for the Congress in 2010, did you ever attend any meetings for the leadership of the Congress prior to that date?
None.
Okay. Did you have any contact with the Congress in the year 2000, which is the year that's at issue in our case for the transfer of the property?
None.
Okay, so do you have any knowledge about any representations or statements that were made to and from the Congress in the year 2000 or before?
Would you please define statement?
Sure, words spoken to one another.
No.
Okay, so have you had I'm going to mark as Exhibit 115 a copy of the 30B6 notice. Have you had a chance to look at the 30B6 notice?
I did.
Okay. When you looked at that 30B6 notice, were there any topics on there that you believe that you were not qualified to respond regarding?
What do you mean by qualify?
Like, do you have information that would allow you to provide competent testimony to answer all the topics that were addressed in the 30B6 notice?
I did not see any. The way it's written, I did not see any.
Okay, well, let's go through them then so we can be clear.
Okay.
All right, so let's look on page 4 of what's been marked as Exhibit 115. I look at topic number 1, which is, do you believe that you have sufficient information to provide competent testimony about the general corporate structure of the Congress, including but not limited to the hierarchy of the persons holding positions at the Congress?
I keep hearing the word confidential. Are you asking me about the confidential information of the Congress?
Did I say confidential? I don't think I did.
Okay. So we're not talking about anything confidential.
So are you telling me that you're going to assert attorney-client privilege communications with your client as the Congress? Is that what you're telling me, sir?
No, I'm not telling you anything.
Okay.
I'm just asking for clarification.
Okay. So
You could have her read back the question. I think maybe he just misunderstands.
okay, that's fine. It's fine. So do you believe that you can provide competent information and knowledgeable testimony about the general corporate structure of the Congress, including but not limited to the hierarchy of the persons holding positions in the Congress?
Yes.
All right. Do you think you can do that from its inception to the current date?
What did we mean by inception?
Well, my understanding is that it was formed in 1993 or thereabouts, and that it's been in existence since that time to the present date. Can you provide information about all that time period?
As far as record, yes.
As far as what did you say?
Record.
Okay. So as far as, and what do you mean records? Like,
Record, meaning that things in writing.
okay. Do you have any information about conversations among the monks or the leadership of the Congress that would not be documented in any writing?
At the general, at the monthly meeting, it will not be written down. Only when it's published to the public that it would be written down.
All right. So are you telling me that you attend monthly meetings with the Congress then?
Yes.
And would that have begun once you were appointed in 2010?
Yes.
So did you attend any monthly meetings prior to your appointment in 2010?
No.
Okay. Do you know who did?
Yes.
Who did?
The Venerable Thich Vinh Ly,
Okay.
the Venerable Thich Cheng Lak,
Anyone else?
the Venerable Thich Giác Đàn.
Okay. Anyone else?
Those are the ones who were my contact.
Do you know who the general counsel was for the Congress prior to your appointment?
Yes.
Who was that?
directly prior to my appointment was the Venerable Thich Vinh Le.
So is Vin Lee also a lawyer?
No, he's not.
So he was acting as general counsel to the Congress?
Yes.
Did at the time that Vin Lee was acting as general counsel to the Congress, did they have an outside law firm that they utilized for legal issues?
There was not any need. It's only when the need arises that they would use a outside counsel.
Okay, so then during the time that Vin Lee was acting as the general counsel to the Congress, then to the best of your knowledge, they never retained an outside law firm to handle any legal matters?
To the corporation.
Through the corporation?
Yeah, to the corporation matter. But if there was any litigation, they would have retained outside counsel.
Okay, and can you tell me the dates that you believe that Vin Lee acted as general counsel to the Congress?
From 2004 until I was selected.
And that would have been in 2010?
Yes.
All right, and so you indicated that you were selected in 2010, but you were not actually formally assigned until 2011. What was your title between those two dates?
There was no title because it has to be confirmed to the General Assembly. And around 2010, by the time I was selected, the General Assembly was over. So they had to wait until the General Assembly of 2011 to make the public announcement. That's when I got formally recognized as the General Counsel.
So during the time that you were selected but not formally assigned, were you acting as General Counsel?
Yes.
All right, so then from your testimony would be that you were acting as General Counsel for the Congress from 2010 on?
Yes.
Can you remember what month that was that began?
It was around November.
Okay. All right, so going back to my question, do you believe that you have an understanding of the hierarchy and the persons holding the positions in the Congress prior to your appointment in November of 2010?
Yes,
Okay, and earlier you testified as it appeared in writing. Would that be a fair statement?
that's correct.
So in order to reach your knowledge then is based upon corporate documents.
That's correct.
All right. How about the history of the Congress, including but not limited to any divisions, breakups, schisms, or other modifications of the Congress into different groups or subgroups? Do you have knowledge regarding that?
Objection assumes facts, not in evidence.
I don't understand the question because the Congress is a legal entity, so there would be time of contraction as far as member, but I don't see anything about division or breakup or schism or any other modification of the Congress as far as the record would have indicated.
Do you know how many members there were of the Executive Board of the Congress in 2006?
In 2006, the numbers were the same as it is now.
Okay. How about in 2005?
The number was the same.
All right, and how many are there today?
How many are there today? Around 15.
All right. So your testimony then is that the Executive Board of the Congress in 2005 had 15 members.
Actually, there should have been one short because there was no General Counsel. So the acting General Counsel also was holding another position, so it's around 14.
Do you have any knowledge as to whether or not the Patriarch in Vietnam ever issued a decree to dissolve the Congress in the United States and to reform a new Congress?
Would you please repeat that?
Will you read the question back, please?
Question, wait. Do you have any knowledge as to whether or not the Patriarch in Vietnam ever issued a decree to dissolve the Congress in the United States and to reform the new Congress?
Objection assumes facts, not in evidence.
I'm not so sure about what do you mean by the patriotic fund, because it's not a legal entity.
Okay, I understand it's not a legal entity. Do you know who the patriarchs are in Vietnam?
In Vietnam, I don't think there's such a thing. If you can show me any legal document to that name, I maybe can provide some explanation, but otherwise,
Do you know if the Congress ever reports to anyone in Vietnam?
that's not the way it works.
Okay, well, tell me how it does work. Does the Congress report to anyone, I guess is the question I'm asking you.
Okay, the body of the Congress in Vietnam still exists, and so it appoint or it confirm or it affirm the body of the Congress here in the United States, not the other way around.
Okay,
So the patriarchs for the Congress in Vietnam still is the leader, still recognized. That is the Venerable Thích Quảng Độ.
how do you spell his name, please?
Thich Quảng, Quang, and Do.
All right, so then is the Venerable Thích Quảng Do, he is the highest ranking person in the Vietnamese Congress.
That's correct.
Okay, and so what I'm understanding from you is that the Vietnamese Congress approves the leadership in the United States Congress.
That's correct.
All right, so is it fair to say then that the United States Congress reports back to the Vietnamese Congress?
That's correct.
All right, and do you know if the Vietnamese Congress is incorporated or has a corporate structure?
Not in the way that it would be in the United States.
Okay. So do you have any knowledge as to whether or not the Venerable Thích Quảng Node ever issued a decree dissolving the Congress in the United States and asking that a new executive board ever be appointed?
I don't think so.
So you don't think so, or do you have any information about that?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
You have it?
I do have it. I'll show it to you
Okay.
later.
All right.
But do you know of any time when the executive board went from a group of more than 15 down to 15? Do you have any information about that in the Congress of the United States?
The executive board?
The executive board. Is what he said.
No,
So you think that's never happened?
no.
All right. Is there ever an executive board? Is there any type of advisory board that works closely with the executive board in the United States Congress? That's made up of more than those 15 people?
Objection
No.
vague.
All right, so how many people, if you were to show me a roster of all the leadership of the Congress today, how many people would be on that list?
On the executive board?
No, on the leadership period of the Congress.
I don't know where you get that idea, but the leadership is for every local area to have. And each temple has its own leader. And the leader reported back, the monk at the temple, not the lay person, reported back to the Congress.
If there's no monk at a temple, who is to report back to the Congress?
There is no such thing as, if there is no monk at a temple then they would have to seek out another monk for him to report it back to the Congress.
Have you ever known the Congress, in your experience, to ever appoint someone as a representative to a certain geographic area? That's a non-monk.
That is unlikely.
Unlikely, but do you know of any incidents when that happened?
No.
Okay. Have you ever seen any documents at all that would show that the Congress has appointed a certain person to be their representative in a geographic area?
Objection
certified-
assumes
a certified
facts, not
document?
evidence.
May I ask, is it a certified document?
What do you mean by certified?
That is certified by the Congress?
You mean like executed by the Congress?
Yes.
Yes. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. So do you have knowledge about what the procedures, I'm looking back at Exhibit 115, the procedures that the Congress has about how it accepts donations and accepts property to hold for the benefit of others? Do you have
Objection.
knowledge about that?
Assumes facts, not an evidence.
Oh, you are talking about the number 3.
Yes.
Accept donation, accept property to hold for the benefit of others? None.
Okay. So as legal counsel for the Congress, have you ever executed a deed or received a deed from a temple donating land to the Congress?
No.
Okay. Have you ever executed any type of corporate documents for the Congress as legal counsel?
Yes.
Okay, what type of corporate documents have you executed?
I have executed a deed from the Congress to the local Buddhist entity.
And which entity would that be?
That is the transfer of the Fort Quang Temple from the Congress to Đạo Tràng Pháp Hoa.
Okay. All right, and the spelling of that is DAO, new word, TRANG, new word, PHAP, new word, HOA. Other than that deed of transfer, have you ever drafted any other type of transfer documents for the Congress as legal counsel?
Objection vague.
None.
Okay. In your experience as general counsel for the Congress since November of 2010, have you ever had occasion to advise a local temple about how they can gift property to the Congress?
None.
Do you advise the Congress on the selection of their insurance policies for any property that they may own?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Would you please clarify that?
Sure. So you understand what an insurance policy is, right?
There are many
Yeah,
types of
exactly.
insurance policy.
Well, exactly. Do you know if the Congress has any insurance policies?
In which matter?
In any matter? Like, do they buy insurance every year?
None.
Okay. Do you know if they have a general liability policy?
Not that I know of.
Do you know if they have an officers and directors policy?
None.
Do you know if they have an errors and omissions policy?
None.
Do you know if they have any policy for title insurance that they've ever purchased?
None.
Do you know if does the Congress require that land that is gifted to them be included, or that they be included as additional insureds on any insurance policies?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
None.
So have you never had any discussions with the leadership of Congress about those insurance matters?
None.
To your knowledge, is there any documentation in the Congress's records that addresses the obligation of its affiliates to maintain insurance?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Would you want to repeat that again?
Sure. Would you read that back for him?
Question, to your knowledge, is there any documentation in the Congress's records that address the obligation of its affiliates to maintain insurance?
Yes.
Okay, what information do you have about that?
That there was the bylaw would require the affiliated member, when they acquire real property, to have their own insurance policy.
And
because the Congress do not maintain insurance policy for the local property.
do you know how, do you know if a temple could receive a liability policy on a piece of property of which they're not the title holder? Do you-
Objection ambiguous.
What that has to do with, would you please clarify the relationship on that question to the Congress? Because we are talking about the Congress
We are
here,
talking
right?
about the Congress.
Right.
So do you have any idea, I'm trying to figure out if the Congress's requirement that a local pagoda maintain insurance has any legal enforceability. Okay, do you know if a local pagoda who does not maintain title ownership to a piece of real estate could in fact have an insurable interest to obtain a liability insurance policy on that temple? Do you know?
I don't know.
Have you ever had any discussions or given any legal advice to the Congress regarding that?
Regarding to that particular question, since the Congress do not own the property, the local affiliation has a responsibility to acquire the insurance policy.
How about if the Congress does own the property? What happens then?
Then the Congress would have their own insurance policy.
Okay. So if the Congress is the actual owner of the real estate, then they would have to maintain their own insurance policy.
That's correct.
Okay. So let's go back and look at the notice. The next one is number 4, the Congress decision to accept title of the Pho Quang Pagoda and the Congress's communication with the society and or representatives of the association or society regarding the transfer of the pagoda.
Objection, assumes facts not in evidence.
I'm reading from the notice, counsel. Do you have any information about that?
But we're assuming that the Congress had communications with the association, and so that's why I'm objecting.
Do you know you have any information about that?
I haven't seen any communication that there was a decision to accept the title of the Pho Quang Pagoda. But then the end would make it would redefine it that the Congress has communication with the society. There was no written communication for from the Congress to the society regarding the transfer.
In preparing for your deposition today, did you have occasion to speak with the Venerable Thich Chang Lok about any communications that he may or may not have had with anyone from the Pho Quang Pagoda prior to the transfer?
I had a chance to speak with him, yes.
Can you tell me about that conversation?
Objection, hearsay.
Well, the conversation is I asked him that, did you receive anything in writing from the society besides the deed transfer in regard to the title? He said none. And I asked him, did you attend the ceremony where the member of the Pho Quang Pagoda donate the property to the Congress? So he attended.
All right, so other than asking for Chang Lok to provide you anything in writing, did you ask him if he had any oral communications with anyone from the Pho Quang Pagoda prior to the transfer about the transfer?
I asked him about that. He said that was in 2000. That was 12 years ago.
Okay, and
the memory could be faulty by this time.
okay, so his response to you was, that was 12 years ago, my memory could be faulty. Is that a yes?
No, the reason, the meaning of it is that he would not repeat something that he would not have it in writing. So the only thing that he wanted to present to me is the deed and also what was captured on the video. Nothing else, because the principle of Buddhism is the truth. So when you cannot repeat the exact word of the conversation, you choose not to, because that would differ from the truth.
Okay, so are these your words or are these Chang Lok words? I'm not sure if I'm clear.
Those were his instructions to me, and that's all he's going to say.
All right, so he told you, because he couldn't remember the exact words that was spoken between him and someone from the Pho Quang Pagoda, that he would not provide you with any more information about oral communications. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Did he tell you who he spoke with?
He spoke with several people.
Did he identify them for you?
He spoke with Mr. Tê Phan. He spoke with Mr. Tran, the defendant.
Anyone else that he identified?
He only mentioned those two names to me. And he also mentioned that Mr. Tran and Mr. Vo wanted to see him on the 6th of December of 2012. And he would tell him that he's going to tell him the same thing as he has told me, that he would not say anything more than what he's telling me.
Okay, so he also told you that Mr. Vo and Mr. Tran wanted to see him on December 6th. Okay, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
All right, so in preparing for your deposition today, did you have occasion to speak to the Venerable Thich Dong in preparation?
Yes.
Did he have any information about the transfer of the land?
No.
Did he remember attending the transfer ceremony?
He remembered the day that when the Congress convened about making the transfer from the Congress to the Đạo Tràng Pháp Hòa. remember that.
Oh, you mean the transfer to the plaintiff in this case?
Right.
But he didn't remember the earlier transfer from 2000?
Not the details.
Okay. Do you remember going to Utah, though, for the transfer?
I haven't asked him about going to Utah. I'm asking him about, do you have any information about the transfer, in around 2000 in Utah?
And what did he say to you? I'm not sure
He
if I'm
said he
clear.
doesn't have anything in writing to give to me.
Okay, other than in writing, did he say anything about any oral statements that were made to him by any person?
No, he didn't say anything about in oral.
Did he make any comments to you about anything that happened after the transfer of the land in 2000?
No,
Did you ask him about anything that occurred since the transfer in 2000 in regards to the ownership of the pagoda in Utah?
no.
Objection vague.
Okay. All right. So tell me then, what is the scope of your knowledge then as to topic number 4 about the Congress's decision to accept the title of the Pho Quan Pagoda? Is that can you tell me what that's based upon?
It was based on the majority of the lay person, of the attendees of the Pho Quan Temple.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I understand. So you believe that the decision to transfer the property was approved by the majority of the members? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, but I'm
well,
trying to-
actually, it was being forced upon the board of directors to transfer the title of the Pho Quan Pagoda to the Congress.
Forced by who?
Forced by the majority of the attendees.
And how did you learn that information?
Oh, actually, I learned it at the deposition of Mr. Tran.
Okay, so were you in attendance at the deposition of Mr. Tran?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so you were listening to the deposition, and that's how you learned that.
Yes.
Okay, so outside of what you learned in Mr. Tran's deposition, do you have any other independent knowledge about the Congress's decision to accept the title to the Pho Quan Pagoda?
Yes, Mr. Tay Phan also told me the same thing.
When did Mr. Tay Phan tell you that?
Mr. Tay Phan told me in 2011.
Okay, when did you speak to Mr. Tay Phan in 2011?
I spoke to him at a various time.
Would that be by phone? In person?
In person. I was up there in Salt Lake City in person.
Okay.
I was at the Pho Quan Pagoda several times in person.
And that would be in the year of 2011?
Yes.
All right,
And
so,
also sometime in 2012.
so I'm just trying to understand. Your knowledge about the Congress's decision to accept the title of the Pho Quan Pagoda, based on what you told me, is what you learned in Thon Tran's deposition, your discussions with Tay Phan, and what you've learned from written documents.
Right.
Okay. Do you have no other basis for your knowledge?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the written and oral communications between representatives of the Congress and representatives of the society prior to the transfer of the pagoda to the Congress, during the deed transfer ceremony, and immediately following the execution of the quitclaim deed, and subsequently. What information do you have about that?
I only have written,
So nothing about the oral knowledge.
nothing but the oral knowledge.
So you only have knowledge about what can be documented in writing.
That's correct.
All right. So, all right. So you're not the person most knowledgeable as to any oral communications then?
I don't listen in on the telephone. And if they made the private conversation to the member of the Congress, I would not have any knowledge. And if they, and since the transfer, neither of Mr. Tran or Mr. Vo has been present at the General Assembly meeting. So therefore, there's no way for me to know the oral communication which day unless I was listening in on the telephone line.
But you understand-
And you are not telling me that I'm listening in on the telephone line, right?
Sure, but you understand as the person most knowledgeable from your organization, you were asked to bring all information about written and oral communications.
All right. I cannot bring you any oral communication.
Okay.
That is not possible.
All right. So then, okay, so you admit then that you're not the right person to answer anything about oral communications between the Pho Quan Pagoda representatives and the Congress.
Objection assumes facts not enough.
If there is any,
Okay?
okay.
If there are any. So, but did you confirm that there were none?
I confirm that to the Congress there were none.
Okay, so you believe there were absolutely no oral communications at all between anyone from the Pho Quan Pagoda and the Congress regarding the transfer of the deed?
Of the pagoda from the Congress to the Dao Chang?
No.
Or
From the pagoda to the
to the Congress? Not to the Congress.
Okay, so you're saying so suddenly you just open up the mail one day and you have a deed of transfer suddenly giving you a pagoda with absolutely no background information saying it was coming or explaining its purpose or who they even are? Is that your testimony?
Objection,
No,
argumentative.
I'm not going to say that, and that's what you said. What I'm saying is that the oral communication to the Congress did not happen.
Okay, so do you believe that how would you believe that someone has to communicate with the Congress for it to be an official communication to the Congress?
They can ask for a forum at the monthly meeting or asking for a forum at the annual meeting.
How about other than that?
Other than that, there's no other way.
Have you ever heard of the term apparent authority?
Objection, calls for a legal conclusion.
You want to define that, apparent authority?
Do you know what apparent authority is?
It depends. I'm here in Texas.
Okay. Well, tell me how in Texas you would define
Oh,
apparent authority.
this thing is related to Utah now.
Well,
you
I'm
want to
asking-
give me Utah law about apparent authority, and then I can tell you.
But do you know what apparent authority is?
It depends.
Do you believe that any of the monks could bind the Congress?
None.
Objection.
No monk can buy the Congress.
So no individual monk can make any type of promise on behalf of the Congress.
None.
So in order for a statement by a monk then to be binding on the Congress, what formalities would it have to undergo?
Yes, it has to be approved at the open forum, at the monthly open forum, by all the members of the board. Each one will have a single vote. Each member will have a single vote.
Okay, and so let's say you had mentioned the transfer ceremony. Was that an official statement of the Congress at the transfer ceremony?
Objection, misstates.
That
prior
is
testimony.
what do you mean by a statement?
Well, you indicated earlier that you had looked at the videotape of the transfer ceremony. Is that correct?
Correct?
And in that video, there were at least 3 monks present. Would that be correct?
Correct.
All right. And during that transfer, did they not make statements about the transfer?
The statement that I heard from the tape came from the member of the Pho Quan Pagoda making the transfer.
So you never heard any statements made by any of the monks visiting the pagoda?
No, I didn't say that. I heard the statement made by the monk.
Okay, so the statements made by the monk in that transfer ceremony, are those statements of the Congress or are they statements of those individual monks?
Well, like I say, the statement of the monk was made as a representative of the Congress, but nothing about a transfer.
Okay,
They
but
will-
that's not my
okay.
question. My question is, if a monk stands up in front of a pagoda and makes a statement, when they make those statements, are they their individual statements or are they statements of the Congress?
There were many statements made. There was statement made when they first arrived to the airport, when they were being greeted at the ceremony. Okay, and there was statement made at the end of the ceremony, and there were statement made during the ceremony that was reciting certain part, of the Dharma.
Okay,
Okay,
earlier,
so, I mean, unless you can pinpoint to me, give me some more specific information about those statements, and then, I can.
what I'm trying to
satisfy.
figure out is, as a person in the pagoda, how do I determine when a statement is by a monk and from the Congress?
But it has to say that. It has to say that this is what the Congress say.
So if a monk says, this is what the Congress says, then that makes it a statement of the Congress,
That's correct.
even if there hasn't been a vote on the Congress floor?
No, there's no such thing. It has to be voted, it has to be approved, it has to be authorized. I haven't not witnessed any monk of the Congress having the authority of the Congress making any statement without being authorized by the Congress.
Okay. And earlier you had testified that there was no oral communication between the Pho Quan Pagoda and the Congress prior to the transfer, and yet you just told me that there was communications with the monk and the Pho Quan Pagoda when they picked him up at the airport, at the transfer, after the transfer. Would it be correct to say that those were all oral communications?
Objection misstates prior testimony.
Yes?
Okay. So did you inquire with any of those monks that attended the transfer service as to the specifics of any of those statements?
Objection asked and answered.
Yes, and the monks say that unless the Congress authorized them and they speak for the Congress by stating it clearly that it was the Congress, then it would not be the Congress statement.
Okay, when did they tell you that? That statement?
Which statement?
The last statement that you just made.
The statement I made is that the monk will not speak for the Congress unless it's being authorized by the Congress, and only when that the monk clearly stated that it was the statement from the Congress.
All right, and what I'm asking you is, when did the monks make that declaration to you?
No, actually, it is the principle of the Congress.
Okay, so it's a principle, but did you actually speak with the monks and ask them about what the oral communication was with members of the pagoda from the airport to the pagoda, right before the transfer ceremony, during the transfer ceremony, after the transfer ceremony?
Objection. Argument.
I understand
He's talking
the-
about the video. That he's saying he watched the video, and the video includes the pickup, the ceremony, and the after.
Okay, well,
So I'm just making sure
Okay,
that
listen.
that's what he's talking about.
Well, I want him
Because
to
you
say-
asked him about the video.
Okay.
And I understand Vietnamese. And at the airport, there was no such announcement of anything statement made by the Congress.
Okay, so do you have any knowledge whether or not the monks that had interactions with the members of the pagoda when they picked them up at the airport, when they had the transfer ceremony, after the transfer ceremony, that they would believe was not a statement of the Congress, but was a personal statement?
Which one?
Any of the monks? Did you ask them about? I'm trying to figure out what's your basis for your knowledge of today to be the 30B6 for the Congress. And I'm trying to figure out how much
by
investigation.
understanding the video. By understanding the video, by listening to it, and that is my knowledge.
Okay, so then again, your basis of your knowledge is then of the video and of written documents.
Right.
Okay, but did you try to speak to these monks and ask these questions that I'm asking to you in order to be prepared for today?
No, I did not see anything that I couldn't understand from the video.
Okay, I understand the video, but how about speaking directly with the monks? Did you ask them those questions before while you were preparing for today?
No.
Okay. All right, so you mentioned earlier that there is a monthly open forum of the Congress. Where is that held?
It is held over the telephone.
Okay, so there's a conference call.
Yes.
Is there a call-in number?
Yes.
All right, and is that made available to the general public or members of Buddhist temples across the United States?
It's only made available by invitation only.
So if I wanted to bring something up at the monthly open forum, how would I accomplish that?
You have to ask one of the members. First, you have to propose what you're going to ask. And they're going to decide whether what you propose is going to be relevant to the function of the Congress in order to give you the access.
Okay. All right, so do you know about the Congress's relationship with Dao Tran, which is item number 6?
Yes,
How do you have that knowledge?
by being at the forum, by being a member of the executive board.
Do you know when Dao Tran was formed?
It was formed sometime in California.
Yeah, that's where it was formed. Do you know when it was formed?
I don't have the exact date.
Okay, can you give me an approximation?
It was from sometime around in the early 2000s.
Okay. And do you know who the principal leaders of Daltran are?
Yes.
Who?
The Venerable Thích Chi Lang, Trilang.
Okay. Anyone else?
That's only one leader.
All right. So do you know if there's a board of directors for that company?
For that corporation, yes.
Okay. Do you know who's on that board of directors?
The Venerable Thích Chi Lang, the nun Kính Tâm.
Okay. Anyone else?
There was some additional lay person. I don't recall the name.
Does the Congress have a representative on the board of directors?
No,
Objection assumes facts, not evidence.
the Venerable Thích Chi Lang is a member of the Congress.
All right. So is he
So-
representing the Congress on this board and as owner of this company?
No,
So is he representing himself then?
he represents the Buddhist institution.
Okay. What do you mean? Will you explain that, please? I don't understand.
Well, Đạo Tràng Pháp Hoa is a non-profit corporation,
Okay.
right? The Venerable Thích Chi Lang is the president of that non-profit corporation, and he's also a member of the Congress. All right, so now what is your question?
My question is when Tri Lang is on the board of directors for Daltran, is he representing the Congress?
Objection calls for
No.
a legal conclusion.
He represents the Đạo Tràng Pháp Hoa. He represents that legal entity.
Okay, so then does the Congress have any controlling rights or controlling ability over the Daltran Corporation?
No,
Does Daltran have any control over the Congress?
no.
Do you know how it came? What information do you have about how the decision was made to transfer the Pho Quan Pagoda to Daltran?
Okay, the decision was made based on the fact that they couldn't invite any monk to come to Pho Quang Pagoda, okay, to stay there and to create a Buddhist entity similar to Đạo Tràng Pháp Hoa. So that is the reason, and there were no other who would volunteer to lead the Pho Quang Pagoda, for the religious part of it, and therefore they had to ask Đạo Tràng Pháp Hoa, okay, to volunteer for to lead the Pho Quang Pagoda.
All right, so they asked Daltran to lead the pagoda, or they asked Tri Lang?
No, they asked Đạo Tràng Pháp Hoa.
Okay, and so how can Daltran Pho Qua be a religious leader for the pagoda if they're just a corporation?
No, the Đạo Tràng Pháp Hoa would have the human resources, okay, to attend to the need, to the religious need of the attendees at Pho Quang Pagoda.
Okay, and so were they supposed to assign a monk to live at the Pho Quan Pagoda?
Yes,
Who was that monk going to be?
there were several monks. There was Thích Kiến Giải.
Can you spell that for us, please?
Thích is T-H-I-C-H. Kiến is K-I-E-N, and then G-I-A-I.
Okay.
And then the Venerable Thích Chi Lang himself had to be there. And they also brought in the monk Kính Tâm and Kính Không. Kính Không is K-H-O-N-G. Kiến is K-I-E-N.
Okay.
And Kính Tâm is K-I-E-N, and then Tâm is T-A-M.
And these are all other monks that are they now assigned to the Pho Quan Pagoda?
Yes.
Where do they reside?
They reside in Northern California, in San Jose.
So, do you have any information about who executed the deed to transfer the land to the Daltran?
Objection vague.
Yes. At that time, it was the Venerable Tickle Act,
Spell that, please. H-O.
H-O, and then Zac,
Okay.
G-I-A-C.
Okay. So the Venerable Hojak actually signed the deed.
Yes,
Were you present when he signed it?
yes.
Okay, so tell me about how the deed was presented to him for his execution.
It was presented to him on a piece of paper with signature block for his signature. And there was two witnesses present, and there was a public notary present.
Do you know how, was Hogak sick at that time?
No?
Okay, did he appear lucid to you?
Yes?
What test did you administer or use to determine whether or not he was lucid?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
He recognized the deed. He read over the deed, and then he asked the witness to oppose before he signed it.
And did he ask any questions about why this transfer was occurring?
No, because he was the one who decided. He was the one that decided at the forum to make the decision to transfer the title from the Congress to the Đạo Tràng Pháp Hòa.
All right, so do you know what the date of that forum was?
It was sometime in the end of 2010.
All right, and so do you remember, was there a discussion at the forum as to why the pagoda should be transferred?
Objection
Yes.
vague.
Can you tell me what that discussion was?
Because the principle of the Congress is not to hold any material property. And to hold that is against the principle. The reason that they were holding that was because of the majority wishes. Therefore, and they were looking for a monk to lead the Phổ Quang Pagoda. And no monk could come to Phổ Quang Pagoda because the majority got locked out.
What do you mean locked out?
Well, it's just locked out. Couldn't get in. There was nobody who wanted to open the door.
So do you have information of monks from the Congress going to Utah and attempting to get into the Phổ Quang Pagoda and not being able to open the doors?
Yes.
Tell me when that occurred.
Okay, well, I think that the Venerable Thích Giác Đặng would be the one who would tell you that because he got locked out.
Do you know what date that was?
Not the exact date.
Give me an
but
approximation.
Approximately around 2005, one time, and then it happened again in 2007.
And did he ever gain admission to the pagoda?
Yes, he did gain admission after some intervention.
How about in 2008? Do you know if any monk from the Congress was ever denied access to the pagoda?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Not a specific date, but there was some mentioning about that, and the Venerable Thích Kiến Giải can give you that information.
Okay, Tick who?
Kiến Giải, K-I-E-N,
K-I.
and then Giải, G-I-A-I.
Okay, so King Guy, he has told you that sometime during 2008, he was locked out of the pagoda in Utah?
Right.
Okay, how about in 2009? Do you have any monks from the Congress being locked out of the pagoda in 2009?
Yes, the Venerable Thích Chi Lãng was locked out.
Do you know when?
Around 2009.
How about 2010?
Yes.
Who?
The Kiến Không, the nun Kiến Không was locked out in 2010.
All right, so how many pieces of real estate does the Congress hold title to?
None.
In its 10, 15-year existence in the United States,
Objection, assumes facts not in evidence.
How many pieces of real estate has the Congress hold title to?
Today, none.
How about at any point in time during its existence in the United States?
Besides Pho Quang,
Besides Pho Quan.
none.
Okay, and so you indicated earlier that it's against the principles of the Congress to hold material property. Is that correct?
Not to hold material property.
Right. So which means that their goal is not to hold any property.
Not material property.
Okay.
Intellectual property, yes.
All right. So how have you obtained the information that during the entire existence of the Congress in the United States, that the Pho Quan Pagoda is the only real estate to which it ever held title?
From the record,
So you reviewed the records.
yes, from the review of the record.
All right. So you reviewed all the records of the Congress and determined there was no other titles ever held by the Congress.
I couldn't say ever held. If it's no longer held, it would no longer be in the record.
Okay. Well, that's my question. I understand there's currently none.
Right.
My question is, each and every year, since its inception, has it ever held real estate other than the Pho Quan Pagoda?
None.
Okay, how do you know that?
By looking at the record.
All right, so so what did you look at? Can you give me more specific? Like, did you look at minutes of meetings? Did you look at?
No, I'm looking at the corporate record.
Okay, so like, is there a corporate notebook that you keep? Can you tell me what you're looking at?
Yes.
So yes, corporate notebook.
I would not know if you can say that it is a corporate notebook, but there's a file that at the headquarters that we can view for any title being held.
And did you look at that in preparation for your deposition today?
Not for today's deposition.
Okay, well then how do you know about it then?
No. When I took the assignment to be the general counsel.
So in November of 2010, when you were assigned to be the general counsel, you looked through the corporate notebook that's held at the headquarters and determined that there was no other real estate other than the Pho Quan Pagoda.
Right.
All right. Did you ever ask anyone else have they ever held any real estate other than the Pho Quan Pagoda?
Anyone else? Well, only the Congress could hold for it. If you're talking about the Congress.
Well, I'm asking, did you ever speak to anyone else at the Congress about whether or not they have ever held title to any real estate other than the Pho Quan Pagoda?
I did.
Who did you speak to?
I spoke to the Venerable Thich Vien Lee.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a custodian, the old record.
Okay. Anyone else?
That's all.
Do you know if the Congress files tax returns?
Congress is exempt.
I know, but do they file any tax returns at all?
No.
Do they have an accountant?
No, not an official one.
Okay, do they have an unofficial one?
And the unofficial one is, yes, for the activities of the Congress.
And who is that?
Oh, that is a non. Let's see. Of time, I don't recall her name, but for the bookkeeping of the Congress, there was a nun. There is a nun.
Where does she live?
She resigned in Kansas.
Does the Congress have a checkbook or a checking account?
No,
Do they have a savings account?
no,
Do they have any bonds or CDs?
no,
Do they have any assets at all?
no asset.
Do they? You said headquarters earlier. Where is that headquarters?
The headquarters is in Westminster, California.
And what is, like, is it a building that they own, or?
No, it's not a building that they own. They don't own the building.
So do they rent space?
No.
Okay, so so where's the headquarters? Like, is it an office building of a member of the
No,
church?
it is in a temple.
All right, so the headquarters is inside of a temple.
Yes, that's where the Venerable Thich Win Lee is the head monk there, is the abbot there.
Is the what?
The abbot.
What's that?
ABBOT.
Okay, like abbot?
Mhm.
Okay. Is that a church term? Yeah, like presider of, or?
Yeah, the runner of the place.
The what did he say?
I think he said the runner of the
Oh,
place.
the person who runs the pagoda? Okay, fair
No,
enough.
actually, he's the runner. He run everywhere. Everything that needs to be done, he will be there. He'll be climbing scaffolding. He will be putting up ladders. He will do everything around the pagoda.
How many congresses or organizations of Buddhist worshipers are there in the United States? Do you know?
Many.
Can we take a bathroom break when you're at a good point?
Yeah, well, let's just stop now. We'll take a break.
We are off the record at 10:17.